Good afternoon, everyone. On this July 1st of 2021, I'm Mayor Diana Broderson, and welcome to our city. We are so glad that you joined us today. We have a great show lined up for you. But before we get started, I just wanted to share a couple of quick announcements. As you know, we're still fighting against COVID-19, and now they got another variant. We keep praying this will be behind us soon. But in the meantime, if you are looking to get your vaccine, public health is telling us that you can go to many places. You can walk into their office. You can walk in to the local pharmacies. They're available for anybody 12 and up. You can call senior resources if you have questions or comments. You can even call 211 and get information. But I know that our local pharmacies are doing them just on a walk-in basis, no appointment necessary. So please get out as quickly as you can. Next, I can't even believe it's July 1st. This year has sped by. It's went by about as fast as last year went slow, I think. But here we are, July 1st, and Sunday will be Independence Day. There's going to be quite a bit of festivities going on. But in the meantime, I just wanted to remind folks of some of the things that that are going on in our community right now that are a little bit worrisome for people. So people are not necessarily all following the rule that you need to only do fireworks from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. on July 3rd and July 4th. Now, they're mandated to be able to be sold for much longer than those days. And so we can't really change that here in Muscatine. But the only time that they're legal to be shown or to be shot off is 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. So please be courteous to your neighbors and the rest of your community and follow those stipulations. I know there are people that are troubled by them for a variety of reasons, whether they struggle with the loud noise or they have pets that are disturbed by them. Please, if we all just follow the current laws that are on the books, then it's going to be better for all of us. And let's just be a good neighbor to each other, and we can enjoy them just on a specific time. But before that, I wanted to share now what we got coming up for the 4th of July. So on the 4th of July in the morning, there's going to be a children's parade, and that is going to be ending up at the library. So you can go on down and check out the children's parade. There's not going to be a regular parade this year. The Chamber of Commerce is very good every year about doing our parade and doing the fireworks for us, and they solicit donations year round to put on a beautiful show, a beautiful parade, and beautiful fireworks. And they decided this year, the chamber did, that because of all the construction going on, it really would be pretty difficult to pull off. So why don't we postpone till next year and have a huge parade celebration? And so that's what they put out there, and let's support them in that. I'm sure that they did a lot of deliberating and talking with people to come up with that decision. So there won't be a parade, but they've tried to do other things. So we all know about the Almost Friday Fest that happens the last Thursday of each month, and they have teamed up with them. So the chamber has teamed up with Almost Friday Fest to do Almost Fireworks Fest. And this event is going to be on the riverfront, same way that Almost Friday Fest is. It's going to be from 3 to 8 p.m. The community is welcome. There's going to be all kinds of fun things going on. So as a build up to the fireworks that'll happen around dusk, you can go on down there. They will still have the times that they do the special things. So at 8:05, they're going to have the Declaration of Independence and the Honor Guard on stage. They're reading, and they're also going to have the symphony orchestra playing at Pearl City Station. That's going to happen about 8:10, and then the fireworks will start. So again, please be courteous. There'll be a lot of traffic in and out. There'll be a lot of people, and we want to make sure that everybody's comfortable and that everybody is being kind to one another. Being kind. That's what kind of the new buzzwords that are out there. Let's just be kind to each other. So If we all do that, then we'll all be more comfortable and more happy, and we'll all get together and work better together. So, the last thing that I just wanted to share with you, and I talked about this a little bit last week, but I wanted to share with you this new program called Alert Iowa. It's called Smart 911. And so, some of us, when we're in the middle of a crisis, and are needing to call 911, we're we are just worried, or we're upset, and we might even forget things. One time I called 911 many years ago, and I couldn't even remember our address, because you're in the heat of the moment. So this Smart 911 is a new tool that Muscatine County has joined into. And what you can do is you can go in now when you're not in the middle of a crisis, and you can sign up for this Smart 911. I did it for my husband and I. And you put in your address, your phone number, who all lives in your home, if there's anybody with a serious health condition in your home, anything that they need to know. And you can log all that information in there ahead of time. And then if you ever do call 911, that information will automatically pull up on the telecommuter screen, and they will have all that information to be able to share with the people that they're sending out. So they might say, oh, I know that person in there's a person in their house that lives in a wheelchair. And so they can tell that right away to the people that are going to be responding to the call. And it's just another way for everybody to be all on the same page, and be able to react in a safe manner as quickly as possible. So it's a great tool. You can even put your picture on there. I mean, all different kinds of things. So you can find the link on the Muscom Facebook page or website, or the Emergency Management Commission's Facebook page or website. And I know it's a ton of other places as well. It didn't take me long at all to go through and do it. And the really cool thing too is, if you are on vacation somewhere that they also have Smart 911, even if you called 911 there, it would automatically bring it up for those folks as well. And the Alert Iowa piece to it is, if there is any kind of an issue going on that you need to know about, you would you put your cell phones in there, and you would get a text or an email, or whichever way it lets you pick which one you prefer. So even if you it'll track you, and it'll know that you live here, but based on your address. And so if there's a tornado coming up, if there's a lost child, whatever it is, this Alert Iowa will help. So anyway, if you're interested in that and didn't get any of the information, give me a call. I'd be happy to steer you in the right direction. But we have great guests. So let's get to our guest. We have with us today Mike Ruby. He is the current chair of the Salvation Army of Muscatine Advisory Board. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. I know you are a legend around Muscatine. I love the editorials that you write each week. They are so much fun to read.
Thank you.
I always look forward and enjoy them.
Good.
So I know, Mike, you are the newly elected chair this year or was it last year? I think it was this year.
Well, it was late 19.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's been a little over a year.
Okay. But before that, you were for 2 years the Red Kettle chair. Is that correct?
Yes. Actually, I joined the Salvation Army Board in the fall of 2018.
Uh-huh.
And right away was kind of thrown into the annual, Red Kettle campaign. Mm-hmm. and saw some things that we wanted to do a little differently than what we've done in the past. And it was successful. But then the 2019 campaign, we really did a lot of things that we wanted to do differently. And so, yeah, 18 and 19, I served pretty much as the chair of that. And also quite a bit of involvement in this last year in 2020.
So in 19, didn't we break a record?
We did. And 19 was also the year that we raised funds in a very short time, like within 5 days, to build the giant red kettle. And
That's right.
and that was a several $1,000 effort, and several of our community faithful members came forward to support that. And so we were able to have that located at Hy-Vee. And of course, Lieutenant Greg Bach lived in there for 6 days and 6 nights. And as a result of that, we got a lot of coverage, TV stations, radio stations, social media across the country. So that was definitely a watershed year
It
for.
was so cold too, if I remember correctly. That week he stayed in there.
It was very cold, and he had we supplied him with heaters and blankets and air mattress and quilts, and the my wife is saying that. All right, just a second.
No worries.
There is that better? My wife's in the other room watching this on TV, and she can't see me, so she came in the other end of the house and she could see me. So
very good.
All right, we'll see how that works. So,
okay.
Yeah. So 2019 was really a watershed year. We just blew out all kinds of records as far as fundraising, and the rest is history. And 2020, right in the midst of COVID, we raised even more money. So thank you to the generous citizens of Muscatine.
And I would hate to start mentioning anybody who has helped in this effort community-wide, because I know we would leave people out, because so many people jump on the bandwagon and help. But specifically, our firefighters and our sheriff's department and our Muscatine Police Department really went above and beyond, didn't they?
They did. They were very, very supportive. And not only was it an opportunity to raise significant funds for the Salvation Army, but it was an opportunity for them to be out in the public, up close and personal with these people. So with the population of
Sure.
our county. So it's a win-win. There's just no question about it. It's a win-win.
Oh, it is, because I think it's long been a goal of our emergency personnel to build those relationships, and for the community to see them, as help and support, and in any opportunity they can get to help them further reach that goal is just amazing. They do such great things with the youth in our community, and really raise their hand to help in anything like this.
That's right.
It is just amazing the way the community has supported Salvation Army. But one thing that always strikes me is the folks who don't realize that the Salvation Army Red Kettle campaign is not just a Christmas program.
That is very, very true. And another thing is that the Salvation Army is a Muscatine County-wide service. And this service, even though our main fundraising efforts are done in a period of about 6 or 7 weeks, when everybody sees the red kettles out in the community, those dollars are very carefully and very wisely spent throughout the entire 12 months. And if it was not for the generous giving at the end of each year, we would not be able to offer a lot of the help and the programs that we are able to do 12 months out of the year.
Yep. And I think you make a very valid point to remind folks that it's Muscatine County. So we work in West Liberty and Wilton too, right?
We do. Up until just the last couple of years, we did not have a red kettle presence outside of the city limits of Muscatine. But starting, I think in 19, we reached out to West Liberty and Wilton, and they have really stepped up. And I think one of the girls' softball teams from Wilton, they came to the Walmart here one Saturday in I think it was in 19, and they raised a tremendous amount of money. So yeah, we're trying to get the word out that this is not a city effort. This is a
Right.
county effort.
Yes. Yes. So I know as chair, you don't work at the Salvation Army every day, but you are vitally important in the structure of Salvation Army. And they have such a great deal of services that they do right here in Muscatine. And like you said, all the money that the Red Kettle campaign raises stays right here in Muscatine.
Absolutely.
And so
Absolutely.
some of those programs, and one of them that I like to talk about, because I saw a couple of presentations on the Pathway of Hope, POH program. I I work with families at the Y every day, and one thing that I like to do is refer folks that might be struggling financially to the Salvation Army for their Pathway of Hope, because one thing that I learned from it is that they don't just, pay $50 on their gas bill or $50 towards their rent, because that, for one thing, that doesn't even solve their problem. And they would have to go do, you have to go get $50 from here and $50 from here and $50 from here to just, pay that one bill.
Right.
Which, if you're in the middle of a crisis and struggling that way, why would you think that would be a good thing to jump through all those hoops? But the Salvation Army really hit the nail on the head with this Pathways of Hope that really helps the people get on a new path, so they come beside them, and it's long term. I mean, they are really devoted to these families.
Very definitely. The Pathway of Hope is a national program. It's just that the Muscatine County Salvation Army established it, relatively recently, 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. But the bottom line for the Pathway of Hope is to break the cycle of poverty.
Yeah.
Just exactly what you said. It's a blessing for families to receive that bag of groceries or the $50 help toward utilities, and we praise God that we can do that. But to get to the real crux of the issue is to come up with ways to get these wonderful, well-deserving clients out of poverty. And therefore, how to do it is how to, first of all, to address what their needs are. Do they need a GED? Are they in need of job application or resume interview skills? Those types of things, so that after they're in the program for several months, it might even be as long as a year or two, they will be able to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and have every reason in the world to feel extremely proud of their accomplishments. And what is so rewarding is that we are able to introduce to them a whole new world of confidence and self-esteem. And it's so rewarding to see that.
And one thing that has always been eye-opening to me is that poverty impacts all aspects of your life and our community. So if you were living in poverty, your stress levels are high, your mental health is not good, your physical health is not good, your divorce rates climb, your children. A lot of the people that are in poverty are working, and so they can't afford childcare providers. So the kids are coming home to an empty house, and then maybe making bad choices, and then you got teen pregnancy, you got drugs, and it increased crime. I mean, poverty really seems to me like it's the hub of a lot of the social problems that we have.
Absolutely. We could for the next 30 minutes, we could list the fallout
Hmm.
from poverty. And you are right. It's physical health, it's mental health, it's family health, and it's all tied together.
Hmm.
So we try very, very hard to meet the client where they are in life and build from there. And our Pathway of Hope coordinator is the Reverend Jackie McCoy, full-time employee based at the Salvation Army Corps office. And we are just very, very encouraged and very proud of the work that she's doing.
I love this program. It's amazing. And the because I mean they might call and have communication with this family several times a week. I mean, this is not just a, we'll check in on you once a month type program. This is a walking beside them program, and very, very high maintenance. And the Red Kettle campaign, the money from that really has helped us be able to fund that position for a full-time worker.
Absolutely. That was one of our goals. This
That is
whole pro
great.
this whole program can really be summed up by, rather than a handout, it's a hand up.
Yeah.
And that really keeps the pride in the clients, and they want to not always be in poverty.
Well,
So
of course not.
they
Yes.
yeah, so it's a very good program that there's a tremendous need in Muscatine County for this program. And we don't know where it'll be 2 or 3 or 4 years from now. We hope there won't be as much need 4 years from now as
That'd
there
be
is today.
wonderful. Put us out of
That would be
business. We'd love it.
wonderful.
Yes.
But realistically, we are prepared to continue offering the program until it's no longer needed.
Yeah, that's great. Now there's a summer youth program as well going on. Is that not true?
There is. There's an 8-week program started in mid-June. It goes to the very tail end of July. And I think about around the last I heard, about 40 or 45 kids were registered for that.
Wow.
It's an all day program. It either goes from 9 until 5 or 8 until 5 or something like that. And a part of the program is held right there at the Salvation Army building, but
Mhm.
they have field trips and outings.
Oh,
A couple of
nice.
them scheduled every week. It's either to the aquatic center or to the museum or different, area attractions. And in many cases, these kids have not had the opportunity to participate in. So
Sure.
that's really fun to see that.
And how stress relieving that must be for the parents of these children to be able to work without having on their mind the whole time, oh my goodness, what are the kids doing? And are they into this? And are they safe, or are they making bad choices? To know that the children are in safe hands and having fun and learning at the same time. I mean, that's got to be worth $1 million of support for these families.
Yes, and parents who have to work, and we understand that, and we want them to work, but we want, and they also want and deserve, a safe haven for their kids, at least 5 days a week for about 8 hours a day, and we do provide that, and we have
That's
for
wonderful.
years. We
What a wonderful service.
yeah.
It really is. Another thing that I just learned of, not all that long ago, was they serve lunch at the Salvation Army to anyone who wants to come.
Yes, there's no restriction. There's no screening. They just simply go on faith that if somebody is in need of a meal and they show up, no questions asked, and they get a hot meal.
Now, is that Monday through Friday?
I'm not exactly sure what the summer schedule is.
Because it changes for the youth when the youth are there, doesn't it?
Right,
A little bit.
right.
Yeah.
The kids get a meal. I
Oh,
do know
yeah.
that, and I'm sure it's open to the community. But I'm not exactly sure if it's 5 days a week or 3 days a week or whatever.
But anybody could call Salvation Army and they'd tell them right away what the
Oh,
serving times are. And they are good hot meals.
they are.
I've had them before
That's
when I
right.
was, coming for a meeting, or I did coffee with the mayor one time at Salvation Army over the lunch hour and visited with everyone. And yeah, it's a good balanced hot meal.
Yes, yes.
What a great service.
I agree. And that is quite a ministry for 2 or 3 volunteers there, that's just their thing, to plan the meals and to cook them. And we're very blessed to have them.
That's great. Now, I did want to touch on Christmas a little bit. We talked about the Red Kettle campaign that supports all these programs year round, but the Christmas program, over the last couple of years, we partnered with Calvary. Is that correct?
Right. When we say partner with Calvary, Calvary has the physical space to be able to do an outstanding job with the toy distribution. And see, the toy distribution has changed dramatically over the last few years. Now, if you go out there and on one of their toy distribution days in December, it's really quite an operation. They have tables set up that are age appropriate for toys. They have a lot of Calvary staff, or Calvary members staffing. And then when a parent comes in, after they have applied for help and done all the paperwork and everything, and that's done around Thanksgiving time, then they are accompanied with with a volunteer and a shopping cart. And then they are accompanied going to table after table. So if they have a 13-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 2-year-old, they're going to be going to 3 separate areas of this huge room at Calvary, and select up to, I don't know, 2 toys per child or something like that. And it's a very, very smooth operation that between the Salvation Army and Calvary, they've got it down to a science.
That's wonderful. That collaboration, I say it all the time, collaborating and teaming up is really the way to go. I mean, it helps everyone.
It is. And this gives the parent the opportunity to select a toy that they know their children would enjoy, rather than we just hand it to them whether they want it or not.
Well, sure.
Excuse me. That's the same way with the food distribution. The food distribution is still done at the core headquarters on Oregon, but the recipients have some input to what they want, and they can select, what they like to eat, rather than get a bag of groceries and 3 or 4 items in there they don't want. So what happens to it? They throw it away. So we're getting a better system of both toy and food distribution.
And the best part of that is that it's the customer's choice. It's the people's choice. It's not what we think you want or we think you need. It's you right. Tell us,
That's right.
That's best practices in everything we do.
We are not going to judge what they select for food items. Or for toy items. That's their decision as a parent.
Yeah, as it should be.
I agree.
Yeah, I do too.
Yes, I agree.
So I know, over this past year that we've all lived through this season of COVID, the Salvation Army has been there on many fronts to help out, haven't they?
Oh my. The list is long. The Salvation Army is probably more visible in our county in the last 24 months than what we have ever been. And when much of the county was isolated and needed to stay home, that's when the Salvation Army got their second wind, and they really, really had to step up to the plate, and they did. So we're very proud of the staff and the volunteers who did that.
And I know they did food baskets and even delivering some were for shut-ins and
And
all
they
kinds
did.
of fruits and vegetables, and anybody could just come and pick them up. I mean,
That's,
just
that's right. That's right. And social distancing was practiced, or the food was outside in boxes or whatever. So that was not an issue at all. And there are just so many people who express their deep appreciation for the help that the
oh yeah.
Salvation Army does. And it just gives all of us volunteers, as well as the paid staff, a really good feeling that we have a purpose, and there are people's lives at stake, and we are making a difference.
We are making a difference. That's exactly what I was thinking while you were talking, that the the Salvation Army in Muscatine, both their staff and their volunteers are really making a difference in people's lives in the community. And I know, from hearing some of the success stories of Pathways of Hope, I know there are people that are on a completely better path than they were before the Salvation Army came into their life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
And how heartwarming is that for us to know that people in Muscatine County have been helped in that way. It's amazing.
That's right. That's right.
One other thing that Salvation Army does that I think maybe a lot of the community doesn't know, I didn't even know, was that they also have church on Sunday.
Oh, absolutely.
I never
Absolutely.
knew that, ever.
Oh, yes. At the Salvation Army building, in that large multi-purpose room, at one end um, is a church, mini sanctuary, with the pulpit and the whole works. And oh yes, they have church there every Sunday. I think the attendance is maybe around 20 to 30, 35, probably, but I don't know. Many of them are right there in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to always remember that the terminology of Salvation Army originally started and still is to share the good news of Jesus Christ, and for people to experience salvation.
Yep.
And then the food and the utility help and all of that, which is a wonderful thing, that's really in addition to the real reason why we exist, and that is to save souls, and we do not apologize for that. That's just what the Salvation Army does. And Greg and Liz Bach, you only have to be around them about 5 minutes, and you clearly get the message that they have their priorities in order. There's just no question about that.
Absolutely. It's I try to kind of think of it like mission work, only in our own county.
Absolutely.
Because, my Aunt Martha and Uncle Lee were missionaries in the Congo for Zaire for probably 30 years. And every 5 years they'd come back on furlough for 1 year.
Right.
But a lot of what they did, when missionaries aren't like preaching the entire time, they're showing love and kindness to these people and helping them. And they let them know that the reason I'm doing this is because I'm sharing the good news
That's
with you.
exactly right.
And this is what the Salvation Army does, only in Muscatine County.
That's exactly right. And it's very difficult to share the good news of salvation on a very empty stomach.
Yep.
Or to the homeless, because their top priority is, how am I going to live the next 12 or 15 hours? And once that need has been filled, then they are open to hearing the word. And one experience that I had multiple times, at the Staffing the Red Kettle, would be people would come up and put money in the kettle, and they said, because of the Salvation Army, when I was 11 years old, 45 years ago, we had our first Christmas. Or there would be a man that said, well, I served in the Vietnam War, or I served in the Korean War. And I remember the Salvation Army being there with the hot coffee and the good donuts. And I just want to return um, this gesture to them now that I can do that. It's just, what comes around goes around. It's just really
Right.
kind of, it's very heartwarming.
It really is. And in my experience doing the kettles, and we look forward to doing it every year in my family, and our grandkids all take a turn and get to do it with me. And they always comment, and I have too, but my little grandson at one time, he's not so little anymore, he's taller than me. But maybe, oh goodness, 7, 8 years ago, he said to me, Grandma, you know what? I think people that don't have very much money put in more money than people that do.
I
And I
think
said, you know what, Timothy, that was talked about in the Bible with the lady putting the two
that,
little copper pennies in.
yeah,
I said,
right.
they know, and they know and can be empathetic. Maybe they've been in the same boat, but it's true, they want to help.
That,
And not to say at all that wealthy people don't help, because they certainly do, and they do it in many ways. But I think it's always good to remember that everybody gives to the Red Kettle campaign, no matter how much they have.
that's right. And I think it's a service that we provide them. Obviously, they provide us, with the money, but we provide them with the opportunity to give, and
Yes.
and therefore they just feel good about it. And I have for years, well, I've staffed a Red Kettle for probably 35 years,
Hmm.
and it never ceases to amaze me that I subconsciously will make a judgment, which I really struggle with that, with somebody that I would never have guessed would put a quarter or a dollar in that kettle, and they do. And
I know.
it warms my heart
Mm-hmm.
as much as I'm sure it warms their heart, because as we all know, the Bible teaches it's more blessed to give than to receive.
Mm-hmm. And, I think we also, by having the Red Kettle there, we give parents an opportunity to model giving to their children.
And
Because when you walk with your kids or grandkids by a red kettle and you stop and you put something in the kettle, they will remember that all their lives.
you
And
are
then when they are an adult and they walk by a red kettle, or they get a donation request in some other manner, they're going to know, oh, that's what we do. We help others.
you are absolutely right. And so many times I will see the parent give the money to the child, and then I will bend down and, if necessary, lower the kettle so that they can reach it and put it in. And of course, I thank the child, but
Hmm.
I always make an effort to express my thanks to the parent of what a good example they are setting.
Oh yeah. That's how they learn. We've heard that adage long time. You
That's
know,
right.
it's what they see, not what they say.
That's exactly right.
Yep. So that if they see us doing it, then they know, and that's how they learn. So I
Absolutely.
think we have to teach our children to not only be givers but volunteer.
Yes,
And anybody can do the red kettle.
they
So.
really can. We can provide them with a seating if they need to, a sit. We can provide them with indoor locations like Hy-Vee, and
Mhm.
that makes a huge difference. For some of the others, we all know that Walmart is an outdoor station to ring the bell ring the bell at the kettle, but uh, sometimes the weather can be absolutely brutal. But I tell you, that's where the crowds are, and we need to keep those locations staffed. And so we do what we can to make sure that that does happen.
So when will the Red Kettle kickoff be this year?
Well, I don't have an exact date, but typically it is just I like the week of Thanksgiving, like on
Okay.
Black Friday, that weekend.
Uh-huh.
I think that the kettles, we can put them out prior to that, but the official kickoff date and all the media coverage and everything, I think will again probably be on Friday after Thanksgiving.
And then it goes through Christmas Eve.
It goes through Christmas Eve, but we also have to keep in mind that a very important part of our Red Kettle donations comes through checks in the mail.
Mm.
And so the national headquarters of the Salvation Army have said any checks that are dated by January 31st,
Oh.
that is the official cutoff date. And of course, there's a lot of people writing last minute checks, on the 30th of December, 31st of December for tax breaks. And,
Sure.
and the Salvation Army doesn't receive those checks till the 4th of January, whatever. Those are included in the Red Kettle. Yeah.
That's nice.
It is.
That is nice.
It is.
And I would add that I've had personal experience. If you mail in a check, because I wasn't sure, I know they always say it always stays here in Muscatine, but I mailed in a check to Peoria or something to Salvation Army as a donation. And later I asked our local, did you get my check? They did.
I am so glad you brought that up, because that is one of the biggest questions, and I would have to say criticisms that all local Salvation Army personnel get. Our immediate district headquarters is in Peoria.
Okay.
And therefore, there's several different, Salvation Army Corps that they're responsible. Then the big regional one is in Chicago, and you will get, and I get requests for donations, and it always has Peoria or Chicago. And it's very frustrating, but I have been assured over and over and over again that is just simply the bookkeeping center. That's the accounting area. But every single dime that Peoria receives or Chicago receives from Muscatine folks is credited to Muscatine. Every dime of it.
And I tested it because I wanted to make sure.
Oh, absolutely.
It was true.
Well, and unfortunately, there are probably some who do not respond to those mail requests because they assume it is not helping our Salvation Army.
Yep.
So we try so hard to get the word out that all that money does stay in. Eventually, we'll come back to Muscatine, and of course, all the money that's given into the kettles, it does not have to go to Peoria or Chicago. That just goes right to CBI Bank right here in downtown Muscatine.
Yes. Yeah. Well, as we get to the end of our show here, Mike, you and I could sit here and talk about Salvation Army for days.
We could.
But was there anything else that we didn't touch on that you wanted to share today?
No, other than I want to give another shout out regarding the giant kettle. It was Hoffman. It was Hoffman Inc. who made this possible. They donated so much material and labor. If they had not done that, the cost would have been 2 to 3 times what it was. And then, of course, we had to get a really good double axle trailer to put this huge, heavy piece of steel on. And Sweetland Sales really, really worked with us and gave us a nice break. So between Sweetland Sales and Hoffman and other donors that really made this possible, we have been able to be more visible with this
Mhm.
giant kettle. And the next thing that's coming up in 3 weeks is going to be the Muscatine County Parade in West Liberty, and that kettle will be in that parade. So
Great.
that's just one example. So
Oh, sure.
yeah.
Oh, sure. No, I think it was amazing. And I remember, as a advisory board member, us talking about, we have 5 days to figure out the kettle if we're going to make it this year. And we all reached out to folks we knew and raised the money in days.
That's right. We made many personal phone calls, and the money really came in because we couldn't start the project until Hoffman knew that we would be able to at least carry our share of the expense, even though they
Exactly.
were going to pick up a big share of it. So,
And they had to build it. I mean, they had to build this thing
from scratch. Oh,
from
absolutely.
scratch. It was not an easy task by any means.
That's right. And we cut it right down to the wire. I'm not sure that the paint was even dry at the holiday stroll for December 2019.
I remember it.
It was done literally just hours
Mhm.
before the holiday stroll. Yeah.
It's another perfect example of our community coming together to fulfill a need, and they made it happen.
Absolutely. Amen to that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Mike. I really appreciate and thank you for all your hard work helping the Salvation Army meet the needs of the people in Muscatine County. It's amazing the amount of work that gets done.
Well, it's my pleasure. And I just believe it is important for service above self. And there's a lot of different ways that you can serve the community. And that's just one of the areas that I've chosen to do at this stage of my life.
Love it. And we are blessed to have you. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much, Mike.
You are welcome.
Well, as we close out our show, I just had a couple more things to remind you of. Next week is our second show of the month, and we always highlight a different city department on that show. So next week is going to be the Musser Public Library. We are going to have Director Pam Collins as our guest, and we're looking forward to that. We do have a Muscatine City Council meeting tonight at 7 p.m. We have opened up City Hall if you would like to join us in person, but we're keeping the online option there because some people maybe are still more comfortable with that online opportunity. So if you would like to be online and join us that way, you can still have input. And you can find the logon information on the agenda for the meeting tonight on the City of Muscatine website. Join me, please, in thanking our guest, Mike Ruby. Have a great rest of your day and a wonderful 4th of July. And we look forward to seeing you here next week on Our City.